Welcome to another Pint with Seaniebee. Again, this is a bit of a mad one. We're in Nicaragua, in San Juan del Sur, in the south of the country. And we're in a school up in the hills of San Juan del Sur. And I'm here with the principal of the school. And today's story is really all about what happens when people from the Western world, New York or one of the big cities, decides to come and live in a remote developing country and do some good with their lives. And I'm really pleased to welcome my guest today, which is Julie Speier. Hello.
Hello. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Julie is a principal of San Juan del Sur Day School, and she's also the head of yoga, and she's the head of swimming, and she's the head of everything. And she came here 7 years ago.
Yes.
With her husband, and she has 3 lovely, adorable children.
It's kind of you.
and they've done some good with their lives. So I want to try and hear Julie's story and get some perspective on why they ended up here. So what was your early life? Where were you born in?
I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio,
okay.
And then I was a serious swimmer. I swam on the Cincinnati Pepsi Marlins, and I earned a full swimming scholarship to Boston University.
Okay. And did you get close to Olympic status, or?
I would say my junior year in high school was my fastest year, and I made senior nationals, but that's one step below Olympic trials. So Olympics weren't quite in my future, but I did love swimming, and I took it seriously, and I was really glad to earn a scholarship to college for it.
It's very hard to get into the Olympic swim team in America, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's so competitive.
Oh, yeah.
So America and China are probably the two hardest to get
insane.
into. And so you moved to Boston, and
so I studied early childhood education at Boston University. Mm-hmm. And then, I had this fascination with surfing, I think, since the movie Point Break.
Right.
And I decided to put my swimming skills to better use, and I moved out to Hawaii when I graduated college.
Where in Hawaii did you go?
I lived on Oahu,
okay.
And I worked at Duke's Canoe Club, which is a really great bar restaurant on Waikiki Beach, and just started surfing. I did end up teaching as well. I taught in a second grade classroom, Kalihikai Elementary, which is a real Filipino off-the-boat sort of neighborhood. So I did a lot of ESL stuff. And
what's ESL?
English as a second language.
Okay. And were you seen by your friends or family as like, well, what's she doing that for?
Well, 3 of my college roommates ended up going out there with me for varying lengths of time. And I think Hawaii seemed smart. Yeah. they understood that one. Moving to Nicaragua was a little harder for my family to grasp. But Hawaii, I think they got.
So were you surfing like every day?
Yeah.
Just get up and surf?
Yeah, I was in great shape. I would surf, twice a day most days, and I could stay in the water for 4 hours. And
I know. I lived in Australia. They're addicted to it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, they even sit out waiting when there's no waves. They just sit out chatting on their boards, waiting to see if.
No, I love being in the water, and especially Hawaii. It's just crystal clear, and you see the fish and the coral,
the whales.
I love it.
And so, what brought you back to the mainland?
Well, I think I just kind of realized I want to live close to my mom and my dad, and I was going through a breakup, so I was like, I'm going to leave Hawaii, and I kind of thought I would go back, but then I got to Cincinnati, and I kind of found a really good teaching job at Cincinnati Country Day School.
Okay.
And I just kind of got settled. Yeah, exactly.
I did a lot of work in Cincinnati when I worked on P&G.
Yeah.
You can't walk around Cincinnati without bumping into someone from P&G.
Yeah.
And then what happened after you went?
So then after 7 years in Cincinnati, I loved my teaching job. I taught preschool, kindergarten, first grade, and then I was, an administrator in the house, which is a toddler program, and I really enjoyed that. But I just wasn't feeling very fulfilled. I was missing, the surfing lifestyle. I always, took vacations revolved around surfing. So I kept my surfing up, and I just wanted to get back to a beach lifestyle, really. I was moving out of one relationship and trying to figure out where I wanted to go next. And I was thinking, Japan has decent surfing. I've always been, since living in Hawaii, I was interested in Japanese culture and Japanese language. So I thought, oh, I could make some good money and just, surf. But then all these teach English in Japan programs they don't let you choose where you're going to be. And then they kind of describe the program and the pay. And I was like, no, forget it. And so I was in New York for this 3-day interview and staying with my college roommate and just said, no, let's just go out tonight. I'm not going to go to Japan. And that's where I met my husband at this bar, Swift, in the East Village.
She fell for the Irish charm.
Yes,
She's one of
did.
the American women who...
Yes,
it's a bit like P.S. I Love You, except her husband's still alive.
I never saw that movie.
You never saw it? You got to watch that movie. Every American movie. I dined off it for years in America.
So then I had a long
He was
distance...
a barman,
Yeah, he
right?
was, yeah. So then we had a long distance relationship. I was still teaching in Cincinnati, and I would drive to New York every other
That's
weekend.
A long drive.
Yeah, but I like driving. And
Right.
I had this old California police cruiser that I had gotten off of eBay, and I would fly to 80, 85 miles an hour without taking a break. I'd be there before he got off his shift at 3 a.m. and have a few pints, and then spend the weekend with him. And then he told me about his friends who had like a summer share in Montauk, so I joined that house. And then I
Surfing's good up there.
Surfing's great up there. And I love this story about, it's like, what am I going to do? Where am I going to live? I'm not ready to move with him. I don't want to live in the city. It was the end of the summer, and I said to John as he dropped me off at Ditch Plains, which is a surf spot up there, I'm going to ask some guys in the water today if anybody wants to rent me their house for cheap, So literally I caught a really good wave, and this one guy said, hey, that was a great wave. Where'd you learn to surf? Or where are you from? I said, Cincinnati. He's like, this girl learned to surf in Cincinnati. I'm like, no, I didn't learn to surf in Cincinnati. But he started the conversation, and I said, by any chance, do you guys know anybody who would want to rent their house for kind of cheap for the winter, and I would take good care of it. And the guy calls across to the next guy, hey Joe, you want to rent your house out to this girl for the winter? And he was like, yeah.
In the days before Airbnb.
Exactly. So I got this 5-bedroom house with a half-pipe skate ramp and a swimming pool that they kept water in until midwinter, and it was $500 a month. And so I stayed there, and John would come back and forth from the city, and I surfed up till Thanksgiving and realized I really don't like wetsuit surfing.
And the dark water.
And yeah, it's spooky. So really in my head, I was already, come on, John, let's move someplace warm where we can surf every day.
Yeah.
And so we started talking about it.
So was John getting in because I got into that whole, New York's just getting in on me. Was he getting into that?
Yeah, I think he was ready.
Right.
He had been there for 21 years, and
Wow.
when the very first night we met, he had just gotten back from Mexico, and I had just gotten back from Hawaii, and our conversation kind of started about
How to get out
warm
of here.
beach locations and stuff. So our first few dates, we talked a lot about that.
And how did Nicaragua pop up?
We both had decided let's move. So then we
Right.
were just kind of researching and asking people. And separately, one night at the bar, someone was singing the praises of Nicaragua and San Juan del Sur. And then a friend of mine who I had done a yoga teacher training with in Bali, she said, I've been hearing really good things about San Juan del Sur, Nicaragua. You should check that out. So then John and I both, and it was within a week of each other that someone told him and my friend told me. And so both of us, we're like, oh, well, what about...
It's cosmic.
Yes. What about San Juan del Sur, Nicaragua? And so we started talking about that.
And had you ever been here before?
No.
Right.
No.
So what was your first... So you came down for a look-see?
We came down, for Christmas, New Year's with some of John's family.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought it was a dump. And I had just been in Indonesia, so I thought, oh, this is a nice little town, And John kept thinking, this place is a dump, these shacks.
I lived for about 10 years in Asia, and the vibe I get off San Juan is very much like what I imagine, say, Thailand was like in the 70s or something.
Yeah.
When I was driving in, I was like, is there anything here apart from maybe some of the cars that tell me it's not 1970? Because there's no brands, there's no American brands have come in. They probably in Managua and the big cities, but certainly not out here.
No.
There's no big supermarkets, and there's no flash petrol stations, and it's all very... And God knows what it was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So he thought it was a dump. You kind of liked it.
Yeah, I liked it right off. And by the end of the trip, he liked it. I think for him, it was really his first time in a developing country.
The difference between those sort of saying, I like a place, and then really making a conscious decision as a couple to go, let's go live there, was difficult.
No, I think we were both excited, right? Just the thought, the change, the prospect of an adventure. As hardships have come up over the years, he'll sometimes go, "Why did you make us move here?" And kind of put the blame on me.
Yeah.
But
men do that.
I'm like, I didn't make you move here. That was a mutual decision.
And when did the idea that you were going to do something like massive, like setting up this school? We're actually having the podcast in the school, which is up a long drive through an organic farm estate, Finga Las Nubes, and it's at the top of a hill, and it's two little buildings. We're in one of the little schoolrooms here. What made you think not only are we going to move there, but we're going to do some good and we're going to set up?
I wasn't exactly sure what we would do once we got here. And it became really clear there were more expat families here with children, and there wasn't a decent, international or English school. Your options were limited to the Catholic school, which is overcrowded and underfunded, and then the public school, which is really overcrowded and underfunded.
Yeah.
And so just talking to some of the expat mothers that I met in the first few weeks we were here, our adventure down here also kind of pointed very clearly that our first imaginings and our first plan was not going to happen. We drove down with a truck and a trailer with the intention of parking this trailer.
From where?
At Playa Coco. We left from Cincinnati.
So you drove through Mexico and down through...
With a 31-foot trailer and a 3-month-old. And
how did that take?
It was highly stressful. We took 2 months. You can do it in like 3 weeks pretty comfortably.
And again, we're talking before Google Maps.
Yes.
So
I did it on a AAA triptych. But the day we got to Nicaragua, we kind of drove into Leon, and there was a big political demonstration and hundreds of school buses filled with drunken Sandinistas.
Right.
And finally the traffic starts moving, and a bus coming from the other direction loses its brakes and swerves into our lane and totals our truck and knocks us off the road, jackknifes the trailer. And I just remember like it being in slow motion. Thankfully, we were going slow enough that we were fine. The truck was totaled. But I just remember seeing the driver's face, and he took his hands off the steering wheel and threw his hands up and kind of shrugged his shoulders and looked at me like, sorry. And I just looked at him like, no, you have
everything
no
goes.
idea.
I was in a crash. Everything goes in slow motion. You remember every little piece.
I was just, and we were on the side of the road, and the sun was setting, and the volcano San Cristobal was erupting for the first time in years, and it was just this. I was questioning everything. What have I done? Yeah. Why are we here? He was like, Julie, you know what? You and Anya, Anya, our 7-year-old daughter, who was 4 months at the time. He's like, you get on an airplane tomorrow, head back. I'll sell everything, figure it out. We'll start over. And I was thinking that for like the first 3 days as we were trying to sort out this accident and insurance and this and that. And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, no, I'm here.
Right.
There's a reason I'm here. I got to see it through. And even though some of the signs were like, what are you doing? Don't do it. We were very persistent and stubborn. So you had to get a new truck? Thankfully, we had insurance, and they covered the loss of the truck.
Right.
And then I said, well, can I keep it? And they're like, yeah, we're not going to take it. And Nicaraguans will fix anything.
Yeah.
And they fixed it, and we drove it and imported it for less than so we actually kind of did fine on the deal.
Yeah.
And then we were able to sell the trailer, for more than we paid for it, because you can never find anything like that here. And I sold it to a shrimp farmer up north that uses it as his office on the shrimp farm. And so it ended up being okay.
And when you arrived eventually arrived in San Juan, did you have a place worked out where you're going to live, or?
Well, we had intended on parking the trailer on some land that John's cousin had bought when we were here that previous trip.
Right.
But the roads were so washed out that there was no way we would have ever been able to get the trailer there. I mean, even in a small car that had 4x4, it was really difficult to get there.
Yeah.
So we, that went out the window, and we sold it. So then we rented a house right on the beach on the north end of the bay, which we just loved, and it had a separate little house in the back that I used as the classrooms. And then
this was the first iteration of the school.
Yeah, which was really easy. I ran it 4 days a week, 8 to 12, and it was like I had 2 to 4 year olds.
And were they mainly expat kids that you were teaching?
Initially, well, I've always had a good number of one expat parent and one Nicaraguan parent.
Right.
And we had like 3 expat kids and 4 of these blended families. We started off with 6 students and just kind of had those rooms that were part of our house, and we were paying the rent for that house anyway. Yeah. And that worked out perfect. That was very much not stressful.
And were you making money, or was it
No, it was just, covering expenses, basically.
When did you decide to jump to, and where did you get the funds? Like, did the government help you?
No, nobody's helped us.
Nobody's helped you. I didn't think so.
In the last year or so, we've started doing some fundraising, but it's just, developed organically. We moved out of that location across the street to a bigger space. The kids grew, parents wanted more. Okay, so we're just going to keep growing with these oldest students. So I hired a teacher, and so I would teach in the morning, and then I had an afternoon teacher that did the afternoon so that I could maintain my quality of life, which was working part-time. That's gone out the window. We've grown from 6 students to 65 kids enrolled in the school now. And I'm here from 8 to 4 every day now.
Right. How many other teachers have you got?
We have 15 staff members, seven lead teachers, 3 assistant teachers, and then we have the bus driver, the janitor, the kitchen cook.
Okay, so they all get food as well?
Yeah, we do snack and lunch and snack.
And so this building that we're in, like, how does it, for people who are listening who have got this dream, I can imagine buying a reasonably big house and converting 2 rooms into a school, but like when you make the jump into the real, this is a proper school I'm sitting in right now.
Yeah.
How does that manifest? Like how do you get there?
Patience, I think, establishing myself. This land, we've got over 30 acres behind us that go to the ridge line over there, and we did a big fundraising push, and we raised about $45,000.
Who did you get the money from?
Private donors. Right. There's another organization called Escuela Adelante, which is growing itself here in San Juan, whose mission is to make a high-quality English education accessible to more students. So they had promised, a significant chunk. They also helped fund our scholarship program. But in the end, we didn't raise nearly enough to build the building. So Finca Las Nubes generously built it for us, and we rent it back. We rent it off of them.
And Finca Las Nubes is it an organic farming thing? Primarily? Okay.
Yeah, and they have a coffee farm up north. And so we started talking about it years ago, and he had offered several times. Well, he had offered years ago a small piece of property down right near the main road, and I wasn't feeling ready, and I didn't feel like that was the right spot, because my vision is to have preschool through 12th grade with playing fields, and have a really great high quality international English school. So years went on, and I kind of went to him again, realized I'm losing the lease on this place we're renting. It's time to find our forever home. And at that time, he offered this 30 acres and said, we can do it up here. So then we did some fundraising. We raised some money, but not enough to build it.
How are the Department of Education here about all this?
We've just earned our accreditation. That was a long process,
Right.
and we're still figuring out what requirements that
Were they
what
helpful?
that looks like. No, not
You're
helpful.
a threat.
Not a
Little bit.
threat. They're very resistant of foreigners coming
Yeah,
and establishing schools here.
Yeah.
Nicaragua is a socialist,
Yeah.
Christian.
Yeah.
It's all who you know here, and I think I met the right people through the years and had the right people helping me submit our application this time. So it's pretty incredible that.
But you're still fundraising, yeah?
We were going to need to build another building,
Okay.
sooner rather than later.
And how does one, if anyone listening wants to contribute, how do we do that?
You can go to our website. It's www.sanjuandelsurdayschool.com.
Okay.
And there's a link on there for contributions.
What do you need?
Well, anything, everything.
Right. Okay. How much does it cost, like, for example, to put like a local kid through your school?
So to fund us student for 1 year is about $3,000.
Okay. Well, anyone with $3,000, go to San Juan del Sur Day School. And those of us in advertising would probably suggest shortening the website. www.sanjuandelsurdayschool.com and contribute. So what's the future then up for it? So you're going to build another, your vision is still intact, you have the land, you're going to build
the middle school next, and then the high school.
Okay.
Clear out the soccer field, and I'm having been a competitive swimmer. I would love at some point, to see a competitive swimming pool built, and it doesn't even have to be up here, somewhere in town, anywhere.
Yeah.
I just, this.
We'll get our first Nicaraguan gold.
Yeah, there's no there. I don't even think there's ever been a Nicaraguan swimmer.
You talked to the top of our discussion about when you were in Hawaii and looking at that, where you were going to go with your life, about this idea of fulfillment, and that you didn't feel fulfilled. Do you feel that this now, as this dream has taken shape, as it now has become reality, that there's this fulfillment you were looking for?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how does your husband go with it? Is it still the team and your
Yeah, he's incredibly supportive. You know, like he found it with me. You know, he's my partner in life and in business, and he definitely instrumental on a daily basis of just keeping me calm and helping it seem like it's not all on me, because it's so fulfilling and rewarding, and it is a huge responsibility when I look around and see all of these students and families who are loving the school, and I just want to make sure that we can sustain it and maintain it and keep it growing in the right direction. You know, it is a heavy responsibility.
Certainly.
You know, it's funny. Like when I moved here, I thought I would just do yoga and be a surf instructor.
Yeah.
I was looking to unload responsibility and declutter.
Take it on.
Yeah, and just the way things have unfolded, it's like that's not what I meant to do. I meant to have a lot of clutter, a lot of responsibility.
But particularly with 3 children under the age of 7 as well. I mean, to take on that. Looking back, what would you advise your younger self, or anyone who's listening who has a dream, to maybe chuck it all and go and live somewhere else? What sort of thoughts have you got?
I mean, I wouldn't change anything.
Right.
You know, I am where
Apart
I am.
from the little crash on the way in.
Even that.
Okay.
That was like a sign from the universe that you're not supposed to live in a trailer on the beach. You're supposed to do something else.
Okay.
You know, this plan you had is not the right one.
Right.
And so I guess, it's just faith. You know, sometimes when these huge obstacles and challenges arise, you just have to kind of keep mucking through, and you get there, and then you go back, and then
Was
you get there.
Was there a goal though, or did the goal? If it sounds like the goal developed.
The goal developed, yeah. I mean, I wasn't so ambitious or confident that this was possible.
Would you be surprised? 7 years ago to be looking at what you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of proud, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Did you think you'd have that in you?
No.
Great.
No, I mean, I think a lot, and I don't mean to be insulting here, but like a lot of teachers, I became a teacher. I loved working with kids, and I wanted my summers off. I did not become a teacher because I wanted to own a business and employ 15 people and have 65 children who look to me for guidance, and obviously that's what I'm meant to be doing, and I do find a lot of joy and satisfaction in it, and I find it extremely heavy at times, But on those days when I do get to go surfing and just hang out in the ocean and hang out with my kids on the beach, I know I'm in the right place and doing the right things, and I love the quality of life that my kids have.
That's great. Brilliant. So. Julie Speier, thank you so much for taking the time out today to talk to me on A Pint with Seaniebee. It's been an amazing journey you've been on, and I love coming and listening to people who've just, gone to hell with it and gone, taken on a challenge like you've taken on, and it's amazing just seeing the fruits of your labor. And anyone who's listening who's got a few bob to spend, get on that website. Every little helps, and I hope to keep. Next time I'm in Nicaragua, come and see the new school and all of the playing fields. I hope you see.
Exactly.
Thank you very much,
Julie
Speier, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Okay.